All right, so have you ever watched a movie that felt less like you were watching it and more like it was watching you? We're about to dive into one of those. It's a 1972 Russian sci-fi film that for decades has absolutely haunted people. I mean, this is a movie that gets under your skin, digs into your soul, and kind of rearranges the furniture in there.
So, get this. It's a 3-hour-long space movie with basically no action. Yeah, you heard me. No laser battles, no creepy alien monsters chasing people down hallways. It's slow. It's thoughtful. And honestly, at first, it feels like it's deliberately testing your patience. But that's the trick, you see. The real movie isn't what's happening on the screen. It's about what starts happening inside your own head while you're sitting there watching.
And that's why this film has the reputation it does. It wrecks people for life. Because, and this is the key, Solaris isn't really about aliens or some weird planet. It's about you. It's about that one memory that always comes back, that deep down regret you carry around, and that one person you hurt that you just can't forgive yourself for. The movie is, quite literally, a mirror. So what we're going to do in this explainer is break this whole thing down. We'll look at it for a few big philosophical ideas, pulling in some heavy hitters like Kant and Kierkegaard to really get at how this sci-fi movie is actually one of the deepest explorations of being human ever put on film.
All right, so first up, the mirror and the face. This part is all about knowledge and the other. It really gets into the limits of what we can ever truly know and asks a tough question. What happens when we're faced with something or someone that completely breaks our understanding of reality? And more importantly, what's our responsibility then?
Okay, so imagine this. You've got these scientists on a space station, right? They've been studying the planet Solaris for a century, 100 years. They've got mountains of data, endless charts, all the theories you can imagine. And they know absolutely nothing. Zip, because the whole planet is covered by this living, thinking ocean. And to get our heads around this, we got to bring in the philosopher Immanuel Kant. He had this big idea about the phenomenon. That's the world we can see and measure, and the noumenon. The noumenon is the thing in itself, the reality that exists completely outside our ability to perceive it. And that's exactly what Kant was talking about. The Solaris Ocean is the ultimate noumenon. It's just completely unknowable. Every single time they try to scan it or analyze it, it's a total failure. Why? Because the ocean doesn't give them any data about itself. Instead, it does something way weirder. It acts like a giant mirror. It scans the minds of the scientists and beams their own thoughts, their own memories, right back at them. The planet is basically a giant cosmic mind reader saying, look, I can't tell you what I am, but I can sure as hell show you who you are. And this is where things get intensely personal and really, really weird. The ocean reaches into the brain of our main guy, a psychologist named Chris Kelvin, and it pulls out his deepest trauma. It creates a physical copy of his wife, Rhea, who took her own life 10 years before. She just appears. And this brings us to another philosopher, Emmanuel Levinas. Levinas had this powerful idea about what he called the face of the other. He said that the moment you truly look at another person's face, you're hit with this immediate, infinite ethical demand. It's not about logic or reason, you just are responsible for them. You can connect this right to what Jean-Paul Sartre called the look. Sartre's idea was that being seen by someone else totally changes you. Their gaze pins you down, almost like a judgment, and it takes away your freedom. And that's exactly what happens to Kelvin. He is completely trapped. He can't explain Rhea away with science. He can't run from her. Her face, her constant gaze, it becomes this ethical black hole that pulls in the entire story. There's just no escape. So that leads us right into our next big theme: guilt, love, and faith. It's all about choice and consequence. Because now, with Rhea standing right there in front of him, Kelvin isn't just dealing with a memory anymore. He's confronting a living, breathing embodiment of his greatest guilt. And this forces us to ask, what do you do with a guilt that refuses to die? And how can you love someone who might not even be real?
See, Solaris doesn't punish Kelvin like you'd expect. No, it's way more brutal than that. It just gives him back the person he feels he destroyed, and it forces him to relive that failure over and over and over. It's very much like something out of a Dostoevsky novel, where characters are just haunted by their sins. But it's also a perfect example of Nietzsche's crazy thought experiment, the eternal return. Nietzsche asked, what if you had to live your entire life, every single joy and every single ounce of pain, again and again for eternity? Would you scream in horror, or would you embrace it? Well, Solaris takes that philosophical question and makes it terrifyingly real. It finds your worst moment and puts it on an infinite loop. And here's where it gets really mind-bending. This new Rhea, she figures out what she is. She knows she's a copy, a ghost made from Kelvin's memories. She's so horrified that she tries to kill herself by drinking liquid oxygen. And it doesn't work. She just regenerates. It's impossible. And yet, Kelvin still loves her. He chooses her. He holds her. He comforts her. So the movie is basically looking right at you and asking, if the person you love isn't physically real, if they're just a projection, a neutrino ghost, can the love itself still be real? The film's answer is a massive, profound yes. And this idea comes straight from the philosopher Soren Kierkegaard. Kierkegaard famously talked about the leap of faith. He said that to have true faith, and you could easily say the same thing about true love, you have to take a leap beyond what's rational, beyond proof and logic. And that is exactly what Kelvin does. He makes the leap. He chooses to love this ghost, and the film is telling us something huge here. That maybe love isn't about a physical body or a shared past, maybe it's a choice, an act of will, a commitment so strong it can literally defy the laws of physics.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit. We're moving on to cosmic silence and human time. Because another thing this movie does so well is contrast our tiny, messy human dramas with the huge, silent emptiness of space. And at the same time, it totally messes with our idea of time, suggesting that the way we feel time is way more real than any clock. The silence of these infinite spaces frightens me. Man, that quote from Blaise Pascal just hits the nail on the head here. The film shows us that humanity has gone to the stars. And what have we brought with us? All our baggage, our paperwork, our petty fights, our broken hearts. And the universe's reaction? It just doesn't care at all. It responds with this beautiful, quiet, absolutely heartbreaking indifference. Solaris isn't an evil alien trying to kill us. It's just there. And that cosmic silence is honestly more terrifying than any monster could ever be. And then there's the whole thing with time. There's this famous scene, it's almost 5 minutes long, one continuous shot, of Kelvin just driving through a city. It's hypnotic. It feels like time is stretching and bending. And it's the perfect way to show an idea from the philosopher Henri Bergson, who talked about durée. Bergson's point was that clock time is totally fake. It's a human invention. Real time, he said, is what we experience inside our own heads, this fluid, messy stream of memories and feelings, where the past and the present are all mixed up together. And in the world of Solaris, that's not just some abstract philosophical concept. It's physically real. The past, well, it's not gone. It's right here, in the present, walking around and talking to you. The dead are literally alive again. Memories have physical mass and weight. And because our guilt refuses to stay in the past, time itself just collapses. The past becomes a present that feels like it's going to last forever. On this planet, the past is never dead. Heck, it's not even past. Which brings us to our final section, man, God, and contact. This is where the film really sheds its sci-fi skin and becomes something more like a religious parable. We're left asking, what is this planet really? And what does first contact even mean when the alien you finally meet is just a reflection of yourself? Okay, the final shot of this movie is, no joke, one of the most talked about endings in all of cinema. We see Kelvin, and it looks like he's back home on Earth. He's at his childhood house, and he's kneeling in front of his father. It's this powerful image of forgiveness, like the prodigal son returning home. But then, the camera pulls back, and you realize the house, his father, all of it, it's just an island floating on the endless ocean of Solaris. It's a kind of resurrection, but is it real? Or is it all just happening inside his mind? And this really gets to what the director Andrei Tarkovsky was all about. He was a deeply spiritual guy, and for him, the Solaris ocean was basically God. But not, a kind, loving God who answers prayers. No, this God is more like a strange and totally merciless therapist. It doesn't give you comfort or easy answers. It just forces you into the ultimate confession by turning your deepest, darkest guilt into actual flesh and blood. Now, here's a fascinating bit of trivia. This vision was a total break from the book it was based on. The author, Stanislav Lem, absolutely hated the movie. He was furious. See, Lem wanted to tell a story about a truly alien intelligence, something so different we could never hope to communicate with it. But the director, Tarkovsky, he couldn't have cared less about the alien. He took the whole story and pointed it inward. He said the real problem isn't communicating with aliens. It's that we can't even face ourselves. The story is about our own self-hatred, our guilt, and how we're not ready for any kind of contact because we're too afraid of what's inside.
So when you boil it all down, Solaris isn't really a science fiction movie, is it? It just uses the setting of space and aliens to ask something much, much deeper. What it really is the longest, slowest, and maybe most beautiful philosophical question ever put on film. And that question is aimed right at you.
And here's the question it leaves you to wrestle with. Think about it. If, by some impossible miracle, the universe gave you one more day with someone you've lost, a parent, a friend, someone you loved, but you knew they weren't real. You knew they were just a perfect copy, built from your own memories and your own guilt. Would you take that day? Would you choose to stay in that beautiful, painful illusion? Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe for more fascinating videos from Plato Baggins. And please, leave your thoughts and comments for further discussion. We'd love to hear them. Have a great day.